name's Kathryn, and I'm going to talk to you about burnout today. And we're going to come back to a bit more of an introduction at the end, and you're going to find out why later. So, 3 years ago, in fact it's almost to the day when I was looking at the date, I was at home. We just bought a property on the other side of the hill from here. And I sat down on the edge of my new bed, and I remember saying to myself, now I feel safe. And it was the first time I'd actually felt safe in the world since 2008. That's quite a long time. Not because I've had a particularly troubled life, it's been awesome. But nonetheless, I'd carried this feeling of being a lack of belonging, being an outsider for a very long time. I thought I was healthy and winning at life, and I sat down on my bed, and then the next morning after saying that to myself, I couldn't get out of bed. And for the next about 7 months, that was my life. I was literally sleeping all day and all night. I had nothing left to give, and it was absolutely terrifying because I didn't really understand what was wrong at the time. I'm still going through my recovery at the moment 3 years later, but it's awesome that I'm here today. And what I want to share with you is not only what I discovered happened, but tips and tricks for burnout, how you can prevent it, how you can heal, and ultimately, I think it's a gift. It's not a gift anyone wants. I can't say I wanted to find I couldn't actually do anything anymore, but it can be truly transformational if you're willing to try and find the positive in it and use it to live a different but equally as rewarding life. So, burnout, exhaustion, that's probably what everyone knows it to be. Have any of you heard of chronic fatigue? Okay, adrenal fatigue? Awesome, you guys know stuff about this already. So, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue and burnout, they tend to all get lumped together, and I understand why, because at the end of it it's all very similar symptoms, and they're ultimately caused by being in stress for too long and you have nothing left to give when that can strike. Commonly people find they're sleeping all the time, lose interest in life, don't want to be doing anything, can start to get depressed, anxious. We'll come back to symptoms. Okay, this is where we're going to make burnout awesome. So, there's not a lot of information out there to help you if you find yourself in the depths of really severe burnout. I'm going to just say burnout, but I'm referring to all of those beautiful things: chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, that's my one. And what I discovered in the last 3 years, I actually think it comes down to a lack of ease in these 3 areas of our life, maybe one, maybe all of them. We're not just our bodies, we've got mind, and we've got soul. And if you can start to look at those 3 elements of who you are, that's how you can truly start to heal. So that's what I did. So, science. We're going to have some body stuff first. Your body is designed to heal. It's absolutely incredible. I'm going to put these down for a minute because it's going to make it a little bit easier for me. So your nervous system, you have got your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system, mine is doing a tremendous job right now of telling me I'm massively at threat. Saber-toothed tigers everywhere. And it is the part of you that's your fight and flight response that has you either running out the door or getting ready to fight. And it's a system that is designed to work only over short periods, to switch on, get you out of real threat. Historically, I'm going to go with tigers, and to switch back off. And what happens when you're in fight or flight mode, your brain tells you you're under threat, and it tells your body to kick out all of the stress hormones it can. And this is the key bit: it switches off healing. You can't heal when that system is at its peak. Your parasympathetic nervous system, that's your rest and repair mode. That's when no tigers, everything's fine, you can just go ahead and chill, and your body is told that you can heal, you can grow new cells, and you can put everything where it's meant to be. On top of that, kidneys. On top of your kidneys, you've got 2 adrenal glands. These bad boys are responsible for kicking out the hormones that you need to wake you up in the morning, to help you move around in the day, and they also help you get ready for your sleep cycle at night. This is when they're working normally. And an axis in your brain called the HPA axis, which is your stress management area. So when your mind thinks there's a threat, it tells this axis, tiger, we need to run now, and that tells your adrenal glands to produce and kick out hormones. So what happens when you have burnout is either thought to be that the adrenal glands quite literally burn out, they can't produce any more stress hormones, too many perceived tigers in your life, or the axis in your brain just goes very dysfunctional because it's been working too hard for too long. And if you get it as bad as I do, you can't get out of bed because nothing's really working anymore. And your body is just saying, we're done here, you need to stop now. So, that's a little bit of sciencey stuff. And this is probably one of the most important things to recognise. It creeps up over time. I thought I was fine, but now I know more about fatigue, and I looked back, I had symptoms screaming out at me for about 3 years, and I didn't know what they are. So I just want to share a few with you, because you can keep an eye on yourselves and others. I have prompt cards because one of the not fun symptoms of burnout is you lose your sentences and you lose your words. You can be halfway through a sentence, it's gone. And common, there you go, the word card, you might even just not know what those words are anymore. That started happening to me about 2 years beforehand. I was terrified. I didn't know what that was, but I didn't want to go to the doctor to find out, so I was wrong, burying my head in the sand there. That's a really, really common symptom. Tiredness, obviously. If you find you're waking up in the mornings and you just can't get out of bed, and I don't mean the kind of tiredness where you just want a lie-in, I mean you physically just can't get yourself up and going. And at the other end of the day, if you find you're wired but tired, that you're tired but you just can't sleep and you're going into really, really late at night, out of normal sleep patterns, those are very, very strong indicators that you're starting to burn out. And the sooner you can address it, the sooner you can prevent it getting any worse, and you can heal it. Please don't listen to doctors that tell you that you can't. I'm clearly living proof that you can if you're willing to do the work. Surrendering to burnout is probably the last thing you're ever going to want to do. I didn't. I may not have been able to move much physically. To give you an example, walking from here to there was impossible for me. It was like running a marathon. And I actually couldn't clean my teeth. I would get halfway through and I'd have to go and lie down because I didn't have the energy to be able to be upright and trying to do something for that long. Despite that, in my mind, I fought burnout for at least a good 6 months. I'm not a quitter, and I'm also really enthusiastic. So I was like, yeah, no, I've got this. It's going to be fine. Never mind the fact that I've had to give up my dream work and I can't really move or do anything. We're all good. And I fought it and fought it and fought it from my bed, as you do. And then one day I just had a really good cry, and I really cried my heart out. And I realised that actually, if this was going to get better, I was going to have to acknowledge that my old life for now was done. And I needed to surrender and accept that this is what it needs to be. And the minute I did that, tiny, tiny incremental amounts of energy started to come back and have continued to do so over the last 3 years. Surrendering to what is a path to healing. It's so important. And if you want some science to go behind that, because in your brain, you're going to be switching off the stress mode and going into rest, repair, and heal. So your stress hormones will start dropping and your body will literally start healing itself. Be a sleep ninja. If there was a badge for sleeping, I honestly think I'd win it. I am so proud of the fact that I can sleep for 13 hours. What an achievement in life. I don't do that every night now. To give you an idea, about 9 hours a night is good for me. It's quite a lot, I know, but it's also a lot better than 24 hours a day. It's really important for both preventing and healing from burnout that you get good sleep patterns. I know this is really boring and you're not going to want to hear that kind of advice, but honestly, it makes a huge difference. In terms of trying to prevent and recover from burnout, you want to get your stress hormones into a much more natural pattern. So that's going to bed early, 9 p.m. and stay in bed as close to 9 a.m. as you can, because 9 a.m. is when your stress hormones peak naturally. So the longer you can give your body to get to that point, you're winning at life. So sleep hygiene is really important, amount and timing. You'll know what works for you. But if you do find yourself with burnout, please address that as early on as you can. Because what you want to do first is help your body to heal before you start addressing other things that you might find are in your life that are contributing to burnout in the first place. That should end any wired but tired cycles that you might be having. And get your stress hormones more normalised. Get your fat on. This was the best thing I ever found about burnout. Adrenal glands love fat. I mean, that is just fantastic news. It's literally, the advice is, yeah, eat more fat. I was very pleased to learn this. Right? Okay, so I cut out processed foods, alcohol, caffeine, sugar, wheat. What else have we got? Basically all the fun stuff. But all of those things, they have a stress response in your body, especially with the sugar, because your stress hormones have to increase and kick out to help you process them, and they cause blood sugar spikes. So if you're really serious about burnout, then you need to cut those out of your life if you find yourself struggling with recovering. And instead, good fats, olive oil, avocado oil, flaxseed oil, nuts, seeds, and also actually the right organic dairy, if you eat dairy, can also be really helpful for recovery from burnout because it supports your adrenal glands. And those help regulate your blood sugar and your hormones. Carbs and protein, that's pretty straightforward. We all know that kind of information, but again, making sure you have that and have those 6 times a day, it's great. It's a license to eat. It's really brilliant, that aspect of it. It just helps your body cope. You're not putting it under stress. Don't just grab food on the fly in the middle of the day and expect your body to be able to deal with that for a sustained period of time. That doesn't necessarily work that way. Dizziness is a really common symptom with fatigue and with burnout. If you find you're struggling to get up, and in terms of standing up when you're dizzy, salted water really helps actually regulate if you're getting low, what's the word I'm looking for, blood pressure problems. That was a game changer for me. That within a couple of weeks I was actually not having dizziness, which I've had for a long time. And I recommend going to see a naturopath. There are supplements and a very cool thing called adaptogenic herbs. Maybe have you heard of them? Awesome, okay. So adaptogenic herbs are a little bit like your superpower there. They will help your body respond to stress, and there are specific ones out there for burnout. They're amazing. And if anyone wants to know more about those in detail, come and talk to me later, because there's some very, very good ones. Okay, that's the practical stuff. That's the body-based work. I followed that kind of a regime for a year. I was still in bed a fair amount during that year, but by the end of that year I was actually able to start working again, and my energy levels had improved massively. So even just doing those practical things alone can make an enormous difference to your well-being, physically and mentally. If only it was just that easy though, but here's the thing, we are far, far much more than we're our bodies, but most of us spend most of our time kind of ignoring that because it's easier to do that. But in my experience, true healing begins if you're willing to start digging a little bit deeper and having a look at what's going on for you in your mind. So, sharks. This is me. This is actually in South Africa, and I am diving with about 15 oceanic blacktip sharks. These guys are awesome. I love these sharks. They're quite big, they're very bold, and they come very close to you. And I'm loving the faces I can see in the audience right now. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. That's cool. And there's fish in the water, and there's a mix of that fish blood in the water. So they're quite interested to see what's going on, and that's how you get them into your space so you can actually watch them. The reason this is up there, I just want you to take a moment to picture that that's you in the water. See how you feel. It's quite cold. I still remember that. It's quite murky. You may or may not be comfortable with sharks. And just notice how you're responding. It's your brain telling you, and how you're feeling in your body. It's just a little exercise to think about. Perception is everything. Anyone up there that thinks that looks like the best thing in the world you could be doing and really wants to hop in the water right now? Awesome, go team. Anyone else that's like, I'm really not so sure about this? Okay, cool. I'm glad I've got a mix. That's brilliant. So what you've got here, one situation, but our brains are going to be responding differently, whether we think this is good or this is something that makes me feel threatened. For me, I look at that and it's my happy place. There is nowhere I would rather be than in the ocean. I can feel it now. My heart rate's dropping. My shoulders relax. It's home. It's where I feel a real sense of belonging. But if that was something that made me nervous, my brain will be perceiving me under threat and start telling me to kick out stress hormones, fight or flight. So we could all be in the same situation, but depending on what your brain is telling your body to do, is going to impact how you respond, and also whether that starts putting you on a path to burnout if you're spending a lot of your time in areas doing things that trigger your fight or flight, burnout. See? Fantastic. Excuse for everything. Response. So what I started to do was say, right, okay, clearly I've got a lot of stress triggers, and I started to move what I was doing each day into all of the things that helped me feel calm and secure, and increase the amount of that in each of my days, which was fairly simple for me because I wasn't doing too much at the time. And I pushed out of my life as much that put me into stress mode as I could at the time. It might sound like hiding away, but when you're recovering, it's really important you give your mind a break so it can start to calm down and stop just going on autopilot. This is where I'm at now, is starting to reintroduce the areas in my life that are stressful for me. Being with people and being in public are two of my biggest triggers. I don't know how long I'm going to need to sleep after this. I'm quite willing to own that. It's quite vulnerable for me, but hey, that's what it's about. So what you can start to do is step into those areas that trigger you, see how you respond, step back out of it. Do something that helps make you feel calm, so that rather than trying to push through and potentially burn out more, you're doing it stepwise. So you start to build up your confidence again. Or if you really want to try different approaches, you can change the pathways in your brain. They're not fixed. You can develop new neural pathways and use things like cognitive behavioral therapy, meditation like Natalie talked about. Visualization is an amazing tool. The cells in your body don't know what's real or not. So if you start visualizing this as making you comfortable, by the time you do it, you will be. This is amazing. But it's not designed to make you necessarily feel happy, but there's a lot of work you can do with it when you're recovering from burnout. And as an aside, I'm terrified of scuba diving. I had hypnotherapy to get me to that point because I love sharks so much. So, yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way. Like I said, there's always something. A word about exercise. Exercise, yes, it is really good for you. I would just like you to know that it kicks out the same stress hormones as stress. If you find yourself deep in burnout, aerobic exercise isn't necessarily a good idea because it puts your body under more pressure. Not the hope of that happening for me at the time, but if you're finding you're feeling burnt out, please allow yourself some rest. Don't try and push through by getting yet more exercise. There are specific yoga poses for adrenal fatigue and other types of fatigue that are very nourishing. Walking on the beach is awesome. And there's a little bit of geeky science behind it that makes it even better. When you walk on the ground, barefoot, whether that's the beach, the earth, grass, whatever you prefer, you actually change the charge in your body. You become more negatively charged, and that reduces the amount of cortisol in your body, which is the stress hormone, and it reduces inflammation. That's why grounding feels so good. It actually has physical changes within you. So I encourage doing that whenever you can, if you're somewhere that makes you feel stressed. And yes, you'll find me rolling around in the grass outside later because there's a lot of stress hormones that need to go and release themselves. Nature has a fantastic impact on our mental health. For the win, the ocean also is scientifically shown to have an impact on your health as well. Being on, in, or near water changes how you feel. And there is a whole movement about that called the Blue Mind movement, and a book by Wallace J. Nichols. If you're interested in that, look that up. It's really, really incredible, but I won't be able to do it justice right now. Again, so by this point in recovery, you've nailed it with your body work. You've managed to dig out all the demons in your mind. You're working on them. What about soul? You want to go one level down? We all love success. We all love to be doing well at things, winning at life, being awesome, and having a to-do list that we have ticked off that shows we are clearly in control. But we are not just what we do. I faced that when I literally had nothing left to do, and I was quite depressed for a little bit at the time, because what are you if you are not the things that you're presenting to the world? Natalie touched on this, I think I heard in one of the questions, about what excited you as a child. I honestly believe we all have, and you guys are living this, a deeper purpose than just what we do. There is something deep down there that you've loved since you were a kid. And burnout is a real opportunity to step back and ask yourself, am I bringing that into my life? Am I actually being true to what really, really matters to me? Not what brings me money and I'm successful at and have learned to do, but those gifts that make you giddy inside about sharing them with the world. And that's something that I'm going to be focusing on this coming year, is to get the courage to share those. And we're actually going to come back to that in a moment. So, let me put these down because I need to be brave for a sec. Okay, so burnout. Much like a best friend, it's going to tell you things you don't necessarily want to hear, but that you need to hear for your personal growth and to have a little review of your life and maybe take it in a new direction. And ask yourself honestly what's working for you and what's not working for you. You've already got all the answers within you, and your intuition and your body are great ways of discovering that. Okay, so 2 more things I'd like to talk about. Firstly, how you support other people that are recovering from burnout. I'm going to ask you all to just be a tiny bit vulnerable. You don't have to if you don't want to. Anyone here feeling burnt out at the moment? Okay, cool. Welcome to the club. Honestly, it's a lot better than it looks. The best way you can support people if they're burnt out, if they're really, really fatigued, don't invite them to things. Go and be with them. Go and sit next to them. Don't necessarily ask them to do anything or to have in-depth conversations, because certainly when I was in the depths of my burnout, I couldn't hold a conversation for 10 minutes without needing to sleep for the rest of the day. Treat them gently. Just share a cup of tea. Just sit with them, even if you just read a book next to each other. Make them feel less alone. Burnout is extremely isolating, and it can leave you feeling like you're the only person in the world that's not doing anything. And with all my heart, I don't want anyone to ever feel like that. So please just show up for each other with that kind of level of kindness where you just sit together, just be there and ask them if there's anything you can do to help them. But don't try and ask them to do things or suggest they could do X, Y, and Z, because that can be a real stress response if you're already feeling burnt out. I said earlier about introductions, and old me, pre-burnout, would have shown up and said, "Hi, I'm Kathryn, and I have done this, and this," as if that makes me who I am. Because honestly, it doesn't. That's just a list of things that I've done, and you've all done amazing things. But that's not the depth of who we are. I have no idea how I'm going to do this bit, because I didn't prep this at all. Instead of that, I would like to try and show up more authentically as me, which is something I find extremely difficult. And just introduce myself that way. So hi, I'm Kathryn. And my middle name is Oceana, and I changed it to that because I feel an immense connection to the ocean. I am terrified of waves, and I'm terrified of scuba diving, and I get seasick. But I love sharks, and I love the ocean so much, I'm willing to try and work with that one. Ever since I have been a kid, all I have wanted to do is encourage everyone in the world to do tiny things to make the world a better place and to protect the wildlife that we share this incredible planet with. I believe every single one of us has a special gift that we can share, and I want to be people's cheerleader. I've always really cared about how anyone else is feeling. It is my greatest dream in the world to write books that uplift your hearts and make the world a better place. And I'm not doing it, and I'm going to start doing it because I think that's my gift. When I close my eyes, I can actually picture books up there, fully formed, and I can see worlds and colour, and all of my senses are engaged in that. And it's as if I can just pluck a book down and through me, write it, and it's there. And that probably makes me absolutely batshit crazy. But I'm done with trying to just be who I am based on what I do, and instead I'm going to go and share that next year. And this is me publicly saying that for the first time. And yeah, actually this is my first talk, 3 years ago now. I couldn't walk to there. I'm running a 14-kilometre trail race in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to sing while I do it because that's how I have fun. Yeah, that's me. Thank you.
So once again, Q&A starting. I'll ask the first question. If you have a question for Kathryn, please raise your hand and one of our mic runners will come to you. So, first question. How do you think we start changing the culture around the glorification of busyness? I know a lot of us in this room are guilty of that. How are you doing? Oh my God, I'm so busy.
Okay.
You know? And how do we move towards more of understanding and caring to prevent burnout in the first place?
Okay. I think it comes down to actions individually and as a community. I'm as guilty as anyone else, apart from the busy bit, but if someone says to me, how are you? Fine, I'm absolutely fine. It's a defense mechanism, we all do it, it's easier. And I think busyness can be a natural extension of that. Nothing wrong with being busy, but if you start saying, I'm really busy, because that's your way of trying to protect yourself, that's when I think you need to start being a little bit more honest. And the way we can do that, you don't even have to be necessarily overly vulnerable with everybody else, but make small changes. So try and show up more authentically. Say how you're feeling. Share your stories. Don't just share when you're busy. Share when you're having rest and you've learned something from that, an insight that's come to you. Because by doing that yourself, you're giving everyone else permission to have a nap, to not be busy, to tell you that they're frightened or they're feeling isolated. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. As a community, that's actually something my intention today, you'll see it on my badge thingy when I'm wearing it. If you look at what I can do, it says help me to show up more authentically as me. So rather than just saying, how are you? How are you today? How have you found X? Can I help you with something? I'd really like to be there for you. What can I do to help you? All of those are questions that require a better answer than I'm fine or I'm busy. And I also think start recognizing the benefits of rest. Creativity, insight, inspiration, fun. I think a combination of all of those things can change it, because it is as simple as giving each other permission to be more than just busy. You don't have to be busy, and it's okay if you feel like crap. I do a lot of the time, mostly terrified. But you know what? Maybe by saying that to all of you, that will allow some of you to go, all right, I'm not the only one.
I love that. Round of applause for that. Questions? Come on, don't be shy. Got one over here.
Hey,
I'm actually feeling
Naz.
quite emotional. Sorry.
Aw.
So,
Yeah.
Jen, proud of you?
Oh! I love you.
Questions?
Prone to crying. It's not a symptom.
You wouldn't be the first speaker to cry on the 7 and 7 stage. It's a welcoming place.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, over here we've got one from Robin.
No, I want to piggyback off of that because I'm just hearing, like, after Natalie's speech and then showing up, I'm realizing that I've been burned out this whole time and I've been afraid to, like, get started again because I'm afraid of being back in that space.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
Thank you.
Still learning it, still living it. It's not easy,
Yeah.
but we can do it
So
together.
I guess the question is, how do you go about, like, when you are, because I'm in like so many coaching programs, transformation, meditation, like
I know
all of
I've stalked
that.
you.
But it's like, how do you keep up and like with just calling it what it is, maybe?
In terms of still owning that you have burnout?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, or like getting back into the game when you're like, okay, I've been dealing with this and now I'm ready to get back out.
Yeah, how do you do that, but also
Yeah.
recognize what's
Yeah.
happened?
Right.
Because it's like being a new person.
Yes.
I'm still learning that, to be honest. The way I do it so far is I recognize that, as much as I hate to say this because I don't believe in limitations, I know that if I try and push myself hard, and I've tried, I end up burnt out again, like really, really quickly and back in bed for weeks. So remember when I said about dipping in and out? I do that, and because I recognise that the main reason I start having massive panic and get burnt out again is because I'm still carrying some of my stress triggers. You're clearly doing a lot of transformational work. I've been checking you out online. Good work. So, dip in and out. I think, okay, I don't know if I should admit this. I'm going to anyway. I call my home my safe square. And it's where I feel safe. So whatever makes you feel safe and whoever you get support and trust with, my trust buddy Natalie is over here. Make sure you've got a good amount of that so that each time you step out, you can also step back in and feel safe again. And I hope, or my sincerest hope is that's how you then build up a foundation for getting back into it. That combined with perhaps recognising you're not who you were before. You're no less, but you're different. And that's okay.
We have time for one more question.
How do you balance the need for rest and recovery with expectations? So your own expectations, your friends and family's expectations, your clients' expectations, clients who say, oh, can you just, and you go, yes, I can, and then you go, hang on, now there's too much. Like, how do you balance these expectations?
I'm practicing saying no. So boundaries, again, I'm not very good at that. I tend to be, I'm English for a start. We're kind of born to apologise and say yes a lot. So for me, I've had to really be conscious of not immediately making a decision on things I do. So when someone says, can you do X or can you be X? The enthusiastic part of me, which is most of me, will go, yes, absolutely. But what I'm now doing is I take a breath and I say, I'll come back to you on that later. And then I give myself, even if it's just an hour, just to check in and go, does this serve my growth? Do I need to do this and do I want to do this? Because if it's something that does serve your growth and you genuinely want to do, your energy will come up as you do it and it will continue to support you. If it isn't, you're going to feel a drop in your energy, and the more you're doing that, the more likely you are to burn out. So I just give myself a buffer to make a decision that is based on that rather than my need to overcompensate and say yes to everybody. My self-expectations are up here. I'm very, very critical of myself. I've spent my entire life thinking I'm not good enough. That's not healthy. So dealing with that, I'm just trying to be kind to myself. So I actually will say, well done. How are you doing today? And try and imagine that I'm talking to, like, you'd be so nice to a little child to ask how they're getting on. So I try and use that same sense of care with myself, with my decision making. You have all of the answers inside you. They're in here. You've got the intuition. But if you just give yourself a buffer, that will naturally come up and help you. Does that help? Does that make sense?
All right, thank you so much, Kathryn.